Greetings. So I know it's been almost 2 months since Record Store Day happened, but I've decided to finally show off my Record Store Day 2023 haul. So I am going to do just that. So starting off with what I got at the store that I've never been to before, we have I got Black Sabbath's Paranoid, which is an absolute classic album, as many people will agree. Next up we have Permanent Waves. I finally got some Rush for the first time in a while, or at least one of the 2015-16 reissues. First time in a good while. And then got something from apparently this local Denver sci-fi death metal band called Blood Incantation, and this is their Interdimensional Extinction album. Here's an interesting little one I found. Judas Priest's Sad Wings of Destiny, but on 245s. I've seen a fair few things pressed this way before, like Doug McLeod's There's a Time, some other re-releases that are usually on 33s. Pretty interesting though, but yeah. There's your hype sticker. Joni Mitchell's Blue. This is one that I was personally looking to for a good while. And then I ended up finally getting it. It's a new remaster by Bernie Grundman. Pressed on crystal clear vinyl. John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. This was one of two jazz albums that I had heard of, mainly because my high school economics teacher had them framed on his wall, which is how I'd heard of them in the first place, if I'm being honest. So there you go. Okay, these are all full. Give me a sec. Oh. Double. Yeah. We have the classic Tea for the Tillerman. Tea for the Tillerman by Cat Stevens. I've been wanting this one for years, actually. I also like how the lyrics are printed on the back, which is something that I've honestly never seen before. I ended up finding this little surprise gem. Spider-Man 1 soundtrack. And honestly, Danny Elfman is such an amazing composer. This is such an iconic score. One of my personal favorites from one of my personal favorite movies that I grew up with. And actually, funnily enough, Spider-Man 2, back in the 2000s was the first PG-13 film I was allowed to watch. As like an 8-year-old however old I was. We got some B.B. King because I've really been getting into more blues in the past couple years. I actually already heard this album before. This is like his late 50s compilation album. But yeah, there you go. King of the Blues, that's cute. And now the last one that I got from the store I'd never been to before. The Gen Z bluesman who I discovered back in August when he released his new signature, or Fender rather, released his new signature Telecaster Deluxe, which I thought was cool. This is a purple Strat. That's not his signature, but still cool. This is his 2021 second album, 662. Yeah, pressed on translucent purple vinyl. And that's the last of what I got from the store I'd never been to before. I then went back to my favorite store, got a fair few interesting entries from there, which I'll show in a sec. So first off, we got ourselves a nice little Beatles 45. We have She's a Woman and I Feel Fine. And then after that, I looked at the... I spent a good bit of time looking at the 78 section. Got a few interesting entries. So these are actually 45 RPM vinyl reissues of Vogue picture discs by Bear Family Records. So you can see here, made in Germany. And so I was honestly surprised these were 10-inch 45s and not 78s. But yeah, they are. Actually, kind of had to look it up myself because it doesn't specifically tell you. But yeah, so this side is You're Going to Hate Yourself in the Morning. And the other side is Long, Strong, and Consecutive, both by Marion Mann. And those are some pretty fun songs from about the mid-40s. Here's a little Blues 78 from like the early 50s. We got some more Joe Turner, which is nice to have. Unfortunately, this one is a little bit warped, so it was a little difficult to play without skipping and skipping and skipping, which funnily enough worked better on my Nagaoka MP110 with the 3mm stylus when I cranked it all the way up to like 5 grams of tracking force, as opposed to the 4 grams on my Grado 78E, but you know. So anyway, the songs are Still in Love and Baby I Still Want You. A fun little fiddle piece from about 1928, I believe. The Dutchman's Serenade by Dad Williams. And the B-side is Money Musk. Coincidentally, a name that's been used for a few different songs, including on Cylinders, believe it or not. Getting all the 78s out of the way before anything else. Cute little late 20s country tune, My Old Pal by Jimmy Rogers. The other side, which will be very fitting for Father's Day coming up, is Daddy and Home. Nice little roaring 20s country there. I got some more Bing Crosby because, of course, I did. We have the Singing Sands of Alamosa, and the B-side is I'm Drifting Back to Dreamland. Next up, we have an unfortunately very horribly worn gospel record from the about 1947, I believe. And that is Marie Knight's What Could I Do? The other side is I Must See Jesus. And unfortunately, that B-side is also just it even ends up being effectively broken toward the end of the song. Although the beginning seems less worn than the A-side, so go figure. The label on the B-side even says poor quality because it's in pretty bad shape. It's just horribly worn, which is a shame. Unfortunately, I didn't read that before I bought it, but you know, fun couple songs nonetheless. I got a couple blues 78s from roundabout the late 40s, maybe early 50s as well. We got some St. Louis Jimmy, A Strange Woman, and One More Break. And I got some Lil Son Jackson, and the songs are My Little Girl and Big Gun Blues, if that will not slip out there. So then, okay. One thing that was really cool to find that I just had to pick up was a very early LP from the late 40s. That is Gene Autry's Western Classics, released in 1949. This is, of course, the absolute infancy of LPs from the late 40s. So there you go then. I got some more Bing Crosby in the form of a fun little album called Twilight on the Trail. I, of course, have the Gene Autry renditions of Tumbling Tumbleweeds in the title track here in 78s. But this is a nice little LP right here. I got some Tchaikovsky in the form of Romeo and Juliet. The other Tchaikovsky I have, which I got from a grab bag a couple years ago, was 1812 Overture, which was nice to have. So yeah, there you go. Boston Symphony. I got Judas Priest Screaming for Vengeance, which is, honestly, if I had to just pick one Judas Priest album that was my personal favorite, it would be this one. And it's a pretty iconic one as well. Here we have Happy Birthday, Bach. Best wishes from Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Ravel, Stravinsky, and Gershwin. All a bunch of famous composers. of course. And then we have some more Bach. Symphonic Bach by the Boston Pops Orchestra. With, of course, famous pieces like Toccata and Fugue in D minor. I've never really known how to pronounce that. Yeah, okay, that was right then. Fugue. This is one that I decided to pull the trigger on this year, even though it was so dang expensive that I decided to skip it last year. The reissue, remaster, whatever, of Iron Maiden's Power Slave. It's a whopping $50 for a single LP, which is so expensive for what it is that I skipped it last year, but I decided to pull the trigger this year. And really, this is the craziest I've ever gone for Record Store Day. I'd forgotten that James LaBrie was even releasing a solo album, but you know, here it is. I picked it up. So there you go then, James LaBrie's solo album. I got a new release, and that is a remaster of Fate, The Best of Death, which is a nice little compilation album of first few, I think up until the early 90s, Death, because it's definitely nothing from like Symbolic or anything like that. I think this was originally released in 92, 93, 94, whatever. Let me look that up real quick. '92, yeah, that's what I thought. So there you go then. And then the last thing that I got was, I know we got a little bit of other Beethoven technically, but okay. One of my personal goals was to get some Beethoven this year and last year. So I got Beethoven's 9 symphonies performed by the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. There's bound to be some good stuff in here. And so, yeah, there you have it. That's my Record Store Day 2023 haul, if you were curious. I've been wanting to show it off for a while, but I kept forgetting to do it. And I even had to reshoot this video, because I ended up leaving out the B.B. King album by accident. But yeah, in case you hadn't guessed that I have such an eclectic music taste in both period and genre, there you go. I'll see you later. Bye.